In today's video, we're gonna be removing the rear quarter panels on this Viper. So, if you guys have been following along with this channel, we have this car lowered. We also have ACR tires on the back. So we got 355s and a low offset Forged Star wheel. Well, with it being lowered and all that, it's never really posed an issue too much driving on the street. It might rub once in a while, but when we transported this vehicle, I guess whatever bumps or roads we encountered, it ended up getting into the fender and it popped out some old bodywork and exposed this. So we're gonna remove this panel. I have another panel that we're gonna be replacing it with, and also probably painting it just so that it's fresh going on. But I haven't seen anybody document taking this off, so we're gonna do that for you and take it off and see how that goes. So there's a bunch of rivets that hold it on. I'm about to pop off the wheel, and I'll take you guys step by step on what I find to get this thing off. Okay, so we've got the wheel off. What it looks like, and again, I am just observing. So we've got the rivets that we have to drill out here. It looks like, if you guys have ever taken one of these apart, there is the battery behind this panel. So I'm gonna remove this panel, this access panel. And other than the rivets with the inner fender liner, it looks like once you take out this bolt, that's what's holding the fender liner on this side. There's another push pin here, it looks like. And then we've got, looks like 2 more push pins here of some sort. And then I think this thing should come out. So, because I do know that there's bolts that hold this quarter panel up, straight up this way. So we'll probably have to remove this to access them. But let me get this out of there. We'll get all of our hardware disconnected, and then we'll see what needs to come next before we start drilling all these out. Also, when you open the door, you're gonna see these rivets here. So there's, looks like 4 of them here. Those will have to be drilled out as well. Okay, so this is out, and if I can remember how to jiggle this guy out. There we go. And she's out. Okay, so there is 2, at least in my case, there's 2 studs right here. And these are held on by 10mm bolts, which I was able to gain access from underneath here. Oh, there's 2 bolts right here. So I'm gonna remove these 2 8mm bolts right there. So let me remove those, because I know those have to come out for sure. So I took out the 3 push pins here, 1, 2, and 3. And it looks like the only thing holding this is just this one holds it to the fender, or to the quarter panel. This one looks like it's slotted around, and same on the other side over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill this out, and we'll see if we can't drop this liner out. Okay, so we've got that rivet out, and now I'm trying to finagle it out. So you can see that one doesn't actually hold it, it's just like cut around it. Same with the other one. So let me wrestle this thing and see if I can get it out of here. All right, success, it's out. Okay, so fender liner's out. What I will say though is, I think when I go to put this back together, I'm gonna use one of these push pins right here instead of the big old ugly rivet, because that way you can actually make this thing somewhat serviceable. You can actually take out your fender liner without having to try to drill out some big rivet that was barely even, you know, mushroomed from the factory to begin with. So this would obviously not ruin your paint, and it would clip in and make it so you can take out the fender liner, because if you look right here, you can see there's the fuel filter that everybody always complains about being impossible to get to, which you could get to the fuel filter a lot easier. So anyways, that part's done. Let me drill out the rivet here, and then we'll work on the other rivets. Okay, managed to get that rivet out. Was not fun, but it is out. So it's kind of handy to have as well, is to have a center punch so that we can have our drill bit not walk on this. I also put some tape here. Obviously the fender is already had better days, but I don't want to mark up this, so I put some tape here. Okay, so we got all 4 of these drilled out cleanly. Definitely center punch those, you guys. It helped a ton. Now we just have, I think, 3 bolts up here. So there's 10mm bolts, boom, all the way across here, I hope. We'll see how that goes. I think there's actually gonna be one that we have to access through the trunk, but let me figure this out and I'll let you guys know. All right, so we got this bolt, is 10mm head, another one right here, and then inside, I doubt you guys will be able to see it, but you kind of just pull this back, and then the other one that looks identical is just up in there. And then this thing is, because I can tell from the other one, the new one that we have, or new used one, there's a little bit of panel bond, it looks like, holding it on. So see the remnants of it? So there is a little bit of glue that's holding this. So we're probably gonna have to break that free in order to get it off. So it's not gonna just fall off, but we'll go ahead and we'll lift that thing off. Okay, so we managed to get this free, but there is one rivet right here. So this one, I gotta drill out before we can get this out. So we're gonna, you could probably take the bumper off at this point, but up to you guys. We're probably gonna try to hold it out of the way so we can get this out of here. Okay. All right, boys, so she is off. So panel's off. Like I said, there was a little bit of previous body work here, so I'm gonna clean up some stuff as well. But yeah, panel's on the ground. Right now, me and my buddy Aaron are gonna go and get paint. So we wanna get the paint mixed up so that we're ready. But the other fender is pretty much ready to go. And then this one we're probably gonna pop off as well, just because it has this one little crack here. And again, I'm gonna have to raise this and make sure this never happens again, but it is what it is. But at least we wanted to pop off one panel so that we can go make sure that the paint matches, and then we'll continue. All right, we're gonna go get some paint for the Viper. Let's go. Okay, so we got the panel in here. They just used the gun to check the paint code on it, and it actually came up with a Honda color. So we went back with the Mopar stuff. We're gonna keep it domestic over here. So the ladies in the back mixing up a pint, right? Pint or quart? Pint. And then we're gonna get that, and then we'll get back on the road. Okay, so we're back in the shop. We've got our paint, and this is actually the paint that I have from before, but got a whole bottle of paint. And Aaron's gonna help me rip off the other side right now, but I'm gonna fire it up real quick. If you guys haven't heard this thing, the camera doesn't do it justice, but it's got a full Corsa exhaust on it, and it sounds absolutely nuts. So we're gonna see what Aaron thinks of this. Okay, so we got that panel out down there. It's kind of the same procedure as the other side of the batteries. You got the bolts across the bottom of the bumper, a few that hold it to the frame. I took the push pins out, so there's push pin, and another one there. And the only other thing holding the fender liner in right now is this rivet. These two rivets are holding the fender to, I guess, the inner structure. Took out the two 10 mil nuts right here on this bracket so that this can drop down. And we've got the rivet here. We've got the two 8 mil screws there. So let's go ahead and take the fender liner out, drill out some of these rivets, and move on. All right, so we've got all these rivets drilled out. We got these two drilled out, fender liners out. We removed the two 10 mils, one here, one there, and then the one that you can get in by reaching here, which is right here. So we got that one off. These two 8 mil or 5/16 are out. We drilled out this rivet, so now the fender should come off. All right, boys, so made a ton of progress today. We got this rear quarter panel off. I almost want to call it a fender just because it unbolts, but got this quarter off as well. Both are off, and both came off, relatively easy. This definitely came off a lot faster than the other side, but let me go ahead and show you guys what's going on the other side so that I can explain a little bit more about what's going on, what to do, all that stuff. So when I purchased this car, I did know that it did have a repair to this side. The older gentleman that I purchased it off of kind of explained that he didn't want to take the quarter panel off, so he ended up repairing it with this quarter panel on. So I know, and I saw previous pictures, like there was just like a crack in the quarter and stuff like that, but I'm gonna have to clean up this through here. So he ended up kind of, you can see, he's kind of got a little bit of like Bondo up on this. So I'm gonna smooth this out and then paint through here. Just use a little bit of touch up, because this, I guess, ended up, I don't even know if this had any damage to it, but I know the actual quarter did sustain a little bit of damage. You will also notice this on the inner tub has that to it. So what we're noticing right now is when I put on, and I don't know if it's because of when we actually, like the fact that I've had that other quarter sitting around for a while, but here is the broken one that we took off, and this was the one that was repaired, right? The back side of it, if I flip it over in just a second, I can show you guys the repair that the guy did before, And that explains, you know, why this popped out the way it did, and broke the way it did, is because this had been repaired prior. This one is a factory piece, never been repaired, but when I put this on there, I'm not too happy with the fender gap at the moment, and I don't know if that's because I've had this laying around for a while, but that's the next mystery that needs to be solved. I've looked at a bunch of stuff. Me and Aaron looked at a bunch of things and couldn't figure out why this one sits up a little bit higher. The body line on here sits up a little bit higher than this one. I can put this, you know, previously broken one back on and it fits great, but then you throw on this one that's still a factory panel and it ends up fitting a little bit funny. So here is the broken one, and you can see there it's had a repair there, and it's also had a bit of repair in the back, and most notably this back corner has had a pretty whatever backyard repair job done to that. So this piece has been broken before, but the rest of it, like the main portion of it, is all original, like I said, just for that and this back piece. But when you put this on, the fitment is beautiful. You'll see here, it has like these pads that it sits on. There's 3 of them, which corresponds to the 3 bolts. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or this. And what I think I'm gonna do for the next video is, in order to kind of investigate further, because I can't see what's going on once you put this on. You have no way of seeing on this ledge what's happening. So, if you'll notice this hole here, I got to put that back in. That little pad was, you know, glued there with some panel bond, but it, as soon as I took the bolt out, the piece itself fell out. So I just got to put some panel bond to put that back in. But what I can't see happening is, once I put the fender on, I don't know if it's maybe sitting up high on something around here or that's what's going on. But what I want to do is take this rear panel off, and then that way I can see in here as I put the fender or quarter panel on and see what's going on and try to, you know, address the situation. The other thing I want to do too is, these are the vents, the cab vents. I want to take this off and straighten this and figure out what's going on behind here, because this has always bugged me. And if you guys know anything about these types of things, if they're not fixed properly, and this one's kind of hanging off the bottom here, this will leak exhaust and it'll pull exhaust fumes into your vehicle. And you can see here there's a gap. So I want to take this all off, straighten it all out if this got a little bit buggered up, fix this as well before we put the fender back on. So kind of just fix this little crack in the tub here, which shouldn't be that hard. Once I take this out, I should be able to straighten this out. And I don't know, there's 2 things you guys can guess in the comments down below. I don't think this is high enough to be causing an issue. And maybe I'll throw the fender on quickly to show you guys, but it's over here that it's sitting high. And I don't know if it's because the fender was laid down that it like stretched or something for an extended period of time. Because if you push down on it and put the bolts in, it gets pretty dang close, but not perfect. So I don't know if it's the fact that it hasn't been fitted to a vehicle before and it kind of like went into relaxed into some different state once we get it all in place. But let me show you guys what I'm dealing with. You guys can guess in the comments down below. And then in the next video, when I take this back panel off and kind of investigate further in here, then I'll be able to, you know, address the situation a little bit more accordingly. So when we slip the fender over the top here, if I can do this while filming with one hand. So it's not bad. And the body lines on this car are never perfect. But the fact that, I don't know if you guys can see this sits up a lot higher than the previous fender and even the opposite side. So I'm trying to see why this doesn't sit down nice. You can push it down, but it's a lot of force to push it down. So we're not sure. Everything else fits beautifully. You know, everything seems good. It definitely looks a lot better. It doesn't have a hole in it. But just the fact that it doesn't want to sit down relaxed into here is the strange part. Back here, it fits great. It's nice and flush. But as you come through here, it starts to rise up. And I've never looked at enough of these cars to know if some of them are like that, or if we got something fitment going on. But either way, I don't want it to be like this. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. So I just put 2 of the bolts in so you can kind of see. It's not terrible, but it just sits up ever so slightly through here. So not bad, but just being super picky. But I want to see if I can get it a little bit better. But if I have to live with that, it's not going to be the end of the world. I don't know if you guys can even see that on the camera, but that's what we're dealing with. All right, guys, so that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. Comment down below what you might think might be doing that. I'm gonna investigate it and try to get to the bottom of it, and hopefully should have that done for the next video. So we got the paints, we've got the old fenders off, and now we can get to work and making this thing look good. So I'm super excited to get this thing back together and back and looking in its original condition. But comment down below what you guys think. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And we'll see you guys on the next video.